Like when I was in the street, I never like was intimate with a woman like back-to-back days, because like I felt like if I had sex with you back-to-back, then that made you emotionally close to me, and then it made me emotionally close to you, and I didn't want that. I wanted to stay as far apart as I could, but still have like some type of like connection, because you understood the life I was living.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not an excuse, but I had to unlearn that type of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I remember like every time I would be with a woman when I was in the street, I would always text one of my homies like, this the address I'm at, dog, in case anything happened. And here's where you find the key at to the crib, bro. I would take a picture and be like, yo, this who it is. This who she is. You know what I'm saying? Like I literally had to unlearn those type of things.
What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of It's Giving. I am your host, Sarah Fontenot, and if you have not yet, please hit that button below so you can get subscribed. Hit that little bell so you get a new notification with each new piece of content, because every week we are bringing the real, the raw, the transparent, the organic, the authentic. I mean, what more can you really ask for in 2024? That is super special, okay? And today, I am not here to disappoint you. We have a serial entrepreneur. We have a father. We have a man that is standing for other men to raise their standard inside of their lives. We have someone who is showing up and showing out and giving people access to a new life they didn't even know that we could do. Ultra successful monetarily speaking, but even more so spiritually speaking. Can we please give it up for Wallstreet Trapper?
Oh man. I ain't never had one that good.
What's up?
I feel excited. I'm ecstatic to be here.
I'm so
Thank
happy.
you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
It's a vibe up here.
Thank you.
I like the energy. It's flowing.
You
flowing.
Thank you. It's
Okay.
an us thing. It's an us thing.
I'm ready.
All right. Well, I got to ask you the first question. You ready?
Of course.
If this season of your life were called It's Giving blank, and you have to fill in the blank, what would it be called? And you have to say it's giving.
It's giving spiritual development.
Break that down.
So I navigated the majority of my life emotionally incarcerated. Right? And so a lot of decisions I made were from a defensive mechanism perspective. Right? And so vulnerability was never my strong point. I operated from chaos and then organized chaos. So it was learning how to keep my calm in chaotic environments.
Yeah.
And that organization allowed me to just be a general, a leader. And it allowed me not to be empathetic in certain situations. It allowed me not to be vulnerable. It allowed me not to connect. And so it made me numb to a lot. And so as I grew, maybe the turning point was having my daughter.
And your daughter is how old?
8.
So 8 years ago, you found this out.
100%. But as a man who came from what I have created as normalcy, even that situation didn't allow me to just be vulnerable in all aspects of my life.
Break that down. What do you mean when you say that?
So I knew that I had to be vulnerable with her.
Got it.
But outside of her, it was, we trapped.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it was hard for me to navigate that. And so because she needed me to be vulnerable at all times.
Yeah. Yeah. She's the little girl.
Yeah. So she needed her daddy, not like a gangster.
Yeah.
Not the street dude.
Yeah.
I need my dad.
Yeah.
And so the easiest way for me to transition, I really had to be like, all right, God, like, I don't know what to do here. This is brutal for me. It's a gauntlet. It's an emotional gauntlet for me to navigate this space. I'm trying to turn it on and turn it off, turn it on and turn it off. I need to get out of survival mode.
Ooh.
Right? I needed to get out of that survival mode, and I need to be emotionally emancipated. Right? And so in order to do that, I had to just like, all right, God, like, I need you to put people in my life that can help me because I can't do this by myself. And so I started meeting and connecting with different men. So it was my guy Pocky from Hood Estates at the time. Like, he was married and a successful entrepreneur, and I thought I was being mentored him in business, but it was being mentored him, watching him be a father, watching him be a husband, watching him navigate. I was like, okay, this was good.
Yeah.
And then switching to like having an ET in my life, watching him navigate spirituality, watching him navigate with his wife, his kids, and then just people in my inner circle. So that helped me to start, okay, we got to start developing more spiritually so that I can connect here emotionally.
Yes.
Right. And so that's why I would label this era of my life that emotional development phase, because the spiritually development space, because the more I spiritually develop, the byproduct of that is being a better father, being a better entrepreneur, being a better man, being a better friend. Right. And so that would be what this era 100% would be for me.
I love that. And I love that because I feel like especially in today's day and age, you see a man of your caliber. And for those of you that don't know Wallstreet Trapper, it's okay. It's okay. Make sure our phones are off. Y'all know we keep it real at It's Giving. We gonna keep rolling.
Oh, this like Trapping Tuesdays.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's gonna be what it's gonna be. Brandon, if you want to have a seat, feel free. Just have a seat, get comfortable.
Yeah.
But I say that because in 2024, a lot of people measure the success of a man by how much money that he makes.
Okay.
And I know that you've made the money. You've done the millions. You've created the access, and anybody that knows you knows exactly that. But I also feel like a lot of the times, and not in every case, but in a lot of cases, men themselves feel like having monetary success can almost give you leeway with a lack in your character. And so what I've learned through diving in a rabbit hole with you is that you are very certain. You are coachable. You are from who you're willing to be coached by. Right? Anybody can't just be like, hey, you need to whatever. And you're like, no, that's not happening. But I do feel like there's an essence and an energy that you have. Where did that come from?
I think a lot of my morals and integrity were in place because of what I come from. So a lot of the streets did install a lot in me.
Like loyalty
and like respect for OGs. There's certain things like respect for women, even though people don't understand it now, but like there was like a code in my era where like women and elderly people were like off limits, and you showed them the utmost respect. Like that's the era I come from. And so I consider myself a man child because I went to prison when I was 16 for attempted murder. Yeah. Right. And so watching my mama get shot when I was 9. Jeez. Right. So like I was emotionally, that's why I told you emotionally I was incarcerated because I didn't have the luxury of being able to emotionally develop. Yeah. Right. Because being emotionally vulnerable where I come from probably puts you closer to the cemetery than not. Right. And so meeting up with OGs when I was in prison and as I got older, you start learning from their mistakes. And I've always been that person. Like if I see you making mistakes, I would rather learn from them than to repeat them. Period. Right. So that's been me. Yeah. But I've always been good at taking advice. That has never been the thing that I was bad at. God, I'm thankful for that. And so I know that the only way that I can truly develop in life is to listen to people who have been through what I've been through and overcome, or be around people who I aspire to be around or be like or emulate in a way. And I think in this era, it's hard for men to say, man, I won't be like that person. True. Because like pride is something that an ego, right? And so for me, it's if I'm made in his image and likeness, then I have to find other men who stand firm in being made in his image and likeness. Yes. And then learn from those men because they are replicas of what I want to be. Yes. Right. And so when I see men who are husbands and thriving at being husbands, I'm going to gravitate to that because I aspire one day to be that husband. If I see men who are leading their family in the right way, I aspire to gravitate to those type of men. If I see men who are successful in business, when I see men who are operating in integrity, those are the men who I will gravitate, that gravitational pull is going to make me go there because that is what I aspire to be.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a wealthy man that's single his whole life or experience it. What's the purpose of having this life and you have to take all your trips solo?
Right.
I have this big house. What's the purpose of living in 10,000 square feet solo?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you have to keep developing, right? And you have to tell God, like, this is, what I aspire to be, God. Show me what does a successful 42-year-old man look like to you. Not my version.
Right.
Not my version.
Every time I thought I knew, I was wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. So I think for me, the humility in that is not letting the money make me think that I'm better than what I am.
Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah, because I could look at my bank account and be like, man, nobody can't tell me nothing.
Right.
You're not where I'm at.
Right.
But we can't measure our manhood by one component.
Yes.
Right? True, financially, yes, I am that. What about my moral equity? What about my life equity? What about my spiritual equity?
Yeah.
What about my mental equity? What about my emotional equity?
Yeah.
Like, are those other components, those personal KPIs, are they in place?
Yeah.
And so that's always been my thing.
I love that. I've always said for me, success, which I think is whole life happiness, which is when you mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, and energetically are happy with where you're at.
Yeah.
Like, obviously you're excited for more. We're excited for the evolution, but we're genuinely happy in those different things. So I love that because yes, money doesn't buy you happiness, but it does buy you choices, and choices make me happy.
This is true.
However, I want to feel good when I look in the mirror and talk to myself. I want to feel good when I'm thinking about, am I overthinking and living in this hell on earth? Or am I trusting the integrity that I have with my barometer, which is source, God, right? So I feel like when you have those things in place, life starts to look a little bit different.
It does.
You won't put yourself in certain situations. You won't deal with certain relationships. There's a different barometer. There's a different way of life. And so I'm so curious because you're single.
I am.
Single-ish.
No, single.
Like single.
Like single.
Like, does anybody think they're your girlfriend?
Not at all.
No one.
No.
Not one.
No.
Okay. I'm just clarifying.
No.
So what is it like? Why do you think that you developing this new emotional and spiritual capacity and like inside of that, do you think that has to do with why you're single now?
A couple of things. So I was dating somebody, and it was phenomenal.
I love that.
It was phenomenal. She truly applied pressure on me to be better.
I love this person.
From no, you have to communicate with me. I don't feel safe in this situation, this arena. And it wasn't that I was like, I'm a businessman at heart. And so the things that she required from me were new to me. It was things that I wanted. It was things that I were striving to be. But I think that development doesn't come all at once.
True.
It comes in phases. And I will say this, as men, one of the things that we have a hard time with is we have a hard time with letting women develop with us. It is easier for a man to say, nope, I want to do this alone. That's our defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Like, I want to get better. I want to evolve. I want to become that person who you are saying you want. Because those things are in me. But man, I don't want you to be with me when I become it. I want to become it on my own. And I want to try to show back up as that. Right? And that's a default for men. Because we have been, I don't want to say trained, but we have been programmed to seclude ourselves and then develop and then show back up as the person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yes. Like, and that was like, so she wanted these things, but she was right. Like, as a 40-year-old man who can talk to thousands of people about financial development and how to be right in your life and how to be right in your business, emotionally, I can't express myself.
That's so honest.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't know how to be vulnerable with you because I got set up by a woman And it wasn't like I was in the streets, so that was part of the game, and that's why I wound up doing 10 years. So, but the residue of that, even 15 years later, still is there. So that emotional vulnerability scared the heck out of me. And there was a point where I realized, like, nah, if we don't fix this, Trap, you're going to keep messing up great situations, right? And so, like, I do feel like as men, we have situations where we fumble great women. Yeah. But I also feel like there's always an opportunity to develop and then show up as the man that's needed. So when the next opportunity presents itself, you're 100% there.
Would you go back?
I'll never say what I wouldn't do. I'll say that, right? I think that we both served each other. I think she learned a lot from me. Because we never had an issue of me disrespecting her or like women messing. It was just me developing, right? It was just me evolving. So I wouldn't say no. And I'm always open to a situation if it presented itself because there's nothing bad. Yeah. Right. But I do think that we should always just move forward. Right. I don't think we should move forward. And I think if it comes back, we both are like equipped
for one another,
for what has happened. Yeah. Right. And that was just my thing. It was just like, yo, check this. I know what you want. I need to go work on myself. And I literally went straight into therapy. I would tell her, like, yo, here's the therapy session I just took. I was paying my therapist $1,000 a freaking session. Right. But it was working.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Where'd you find this therapist?
So my guy told Toby, I told Tobe one day. So Tobe is he's an artist, and Tobe came to me, and I told Tobe one day, I said, Tobe, bro, like him and CJ, which is ET's right hand man. And I said, bro, like, here's my situation. Like, this is this dope woman, bro. We've been rocking for a while, bro. But like, emotionally, I'm empty.
That is so honest.
I'm like, bro, I'm just empty. Like, I don't feel what she feels, and I'm doing things because I know she's a great woman. But I'm empty, dog. And so CJ and Tobe was like, I got somebody for you, bro. Because Tobe was like, I was that. He was like, when I met my girl, I was like, man, I ain't doing this. And I realized that the things that we often look for, they aren't in the woman, it's things that we lacking in ourselves. And so he was like, I got the perfect person for you. And so me and Pop's been on it for like a year and something now. And I'm 100% like in such a better emotional place as a man. And I think those things were important for me because like I went to prison and my mom's was in prison. And I was homeless for a few years of my life because my mom was in prison. And I didn't realize that as a man, I still harbored those feelings of abandonment. I learned to cope with them and I normalized it.
Oof. Jeez.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so just talking to another man who's been married for 35 years and we just peeling back layers.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that there were layers to my life that I had normalized that weren't normal.
Yeah. First and foremost, I have to say thank you for your transparency.
Yeah.
And also thank you for your ability to articulate your experience.
Yeah.
Because that's where the teaching comes in. So it's apparent and obvious that you do this for real.
Oh,
as far as like teaching and training, it's really beautiful. And also that is so big. I've had people sit on this couch and be like, oh yeah, back when I was molested and then this is what and it's like, pause. You can't just gloss over it. Like we just get so used to glossing over it. One of shout out to Anissa. She's here right now. We did an episode. It was supposed to be a questions episode, and then it turned into her episode because she just like the whole conversation started with her saying, "Oh yeah, my mom, there was resentment there because I'm a byproduct of rape." So it's like, and she kept talking, and it's like, you cannot just keep going from that statement. Like pause, rewind. What did you just say?
Yeah.
And breaking it down. And I think that we, as our coping mechanisms, we get so used to something being what's the word when families we are dysfunctional. We get so used to the dysfunction that's what we cling to instead of being committed to identifying, like, why are we clinging to this?
Yeah.
Well, we're traumatized.
Yeah.
We all got trauma.
Yeah.
We all got things healing to do. But
functional trauma is what I like to call it.
You know?
We learn to function. We learn how to just function in chaos.
Yes.
And what happens is we don't, for me, I won't classify everybody, but for me, I didn't have time to peel those layers back.
Yeah.
Because I was too busy. I need to survive.
Yeah.
Right? I need to build this brand, or I need to, not be out of prison. I need to watch out for the jackets. I need to be in the streets and do these things. So I didn't have time to sit back and peel back layers. Right? And I'm not going to ask myself the tough questions.
Right.
You know what
we don't
I'm saying?
even know the questions
I don't even know
ask.
the questions to ask.
Yes.
And so I remember my therapist told me, he was blown away by me. He said, all right, if we're going to get where we need to go at, this is going to be extremely hard because I'm going to ask you some questions. And I remember telling him, I said, bruh, I've been shot. I've been to prison. Asking me some questions is the easiest thing that you can ask me. And so he thought it was going to be hard for me. And so as he started asking me the question, I was like, oh yeah, I remember when this happened and this how I felt. And he was like, whoa, you really numb to this. I'm like, bro, I just need to get it over with so I can get where I need to go at. Right? Because I know that these feelings have been calloused.
Ugh.
And I need to keep scraping the callus so I can get back to the emotion to feel so that I can be present.
Yeah.
Right? And I understand that when it comes to being a man I'm by far no dating coach and I'm learning. I'm only speaking from my experience.
You're right.
I know that in order to be intimate with a woman, you have to be emotionally available. Right?
We gotta let that land. Because we say this, y'all know how much I talk about this on the podcast. Emotional intelligence and emotional regulation are two of the most important things inside of any kind of intimate relationship, whether it be platonic or romantic.
Yeah.
So do you feel like you're in a space now where you are more emotionally available?
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel so why are you still single? And also, two-part question.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So being
the questions with layers,
here. Being a top 1%, high earning, high value man, are you afraid of marriage?
So first question is, why am I single now?
Yeah.
So I just went through, I think as you're on your journey, your level of healing is always tested.
Absolutely.
Right. So I always hear women today say, come to me healed. For me, that immediately X's me out because I'm not healed.
We'll never be healed.
You feel me? So I don't fit that.
Yeah.
I've been traumatized longer than I've been working on the healing.
Yeah.
So that's going to take me a while.
Yeah.
Right. But I got tested recently. I had moved my daughter's mom to Atlanta. She's maybe 2 years. I moved them in their own house. We had a good co-parenting relationship. And I felt like, for me, that gave me peace knowing that my daughter was protected and then that she was protected. And so one day I called her to give her my schedule for the next month. Yo, I'm going to Europe, I'm going to Dallas. And she was like, oh yeah, we moving back to New Orleans. Oh. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Right? Immediately, all my healing went out the window.
Yeah.
And I had to grab it.
Yeah.
I had to grab it.
Yeah.
My initial response was, you're not taking my daughter.
Yeah.
That was my initial response. And then I said, we can't do that. We can't do that. And so I'll be honest, it took me about 2 weeks. I just didn't talk. Right? I didn't talk because I was going through the emotions in me. Right? And I expressed that I was hurt. Something I would have never done. And I said, yo, you hurt me. But I'm not going to be selfish. Thank you for giving me 2 years with my baby. You ain't have to do that. You ain't have to do that. I still want what's best for you. I still pray for you, protection. If you need me, I'm good. I'm here. And I said that to say that moment took a lot out of me because I had fought for my daughter to be with me for so long. And not fought in a way like we going to court back and forward, but it's trying to convince her mom to leave New Orleans to come here.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm going to pay all the bills. You don't got to do none of that. But I had to realize also that, Trap, you can't control every situation.
Yeah.
And I'll be real with you. Like, that was my thing. Like, I love control.
Yeah.
I love to be able to have a situation, say, this is exactly how I wanted it to be. Right. And so I always think that I ain't putting people in the best position. Yeah. But it's the best position that I see. It don't mean it's the best position that she saw for her life. Yeah. And so I had to get through that. And so for that moment, I'm not gonna lie, I just stopped talking to people because I was like, okay, there's more work to be done here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it wasn't that it just was a new space for me. And so I think that right now in this space, I'm learning now, like, yo, all right, I have to adapt without my daughter right now. And that's new for me. Yeah. You know, I'm not lying. But again, when it comes to men, we haven't learned, and I'm learning how to let a person be there for you while you go through the things.
Yes, which is scary.
Yes. Right. So I think for me in this phase, that's what it's about. Yeah. It's about learning how to let a woman be there for me while I'm going through the phase, and not shut down, because that is what you all want to do.
That's how we feel safe.
That's how, like, let me be there for me. Let me care for you.
Yes.
Let me nurture you. Yes. Let me go through this with you, and I can still navigate going through what I'm going through. Yes. This is what I'm built for. Yes. And so I'm still learning that. Yeah. And so that in that space, that's where I am.
I think that's really beautiful. It makes me think of my parents. And just to give a little bit of backstory. So my dad ruptured a disc in his back when I was 10 years old. We went from a 2-family income household to one. Okay. And so my mom was taking care of my dad, all of us kids, trying to make sure we weren't homeless, full-time student, full-time job, and also her own life, but still made my dad head of household. Like, I've never seen my parents fight. And not to say that that's the right way. You know, maybe now when I see people yelling, like, I almost like, that shuts me down because I don't operate in that. I'm like, you can have a conversation. If you need to step away and come back, we can have a conversation, but I don't do the whole yelling
and hooping and hollering.
Nah, that's not effective. Not for me. I shut down.
No, 100%.
Yeah, it doesn't work. But it's crazy because I do feel like everyone is always like, why are you single? Why are you single? Why are you single? Well, I'm choosing singleness. And like, when I'm not, you'll know, it is what it is. But I feel like we live in a generation that is weak. And we live in a generation where people don't want to go through anything. Yeah. We live in a generation where, we're always going to be healing. We're always going to be growing, because what I go through 10 years ago has nothing on, or 10 years from 10 years ago is so astronomically different from what I'm going to go through in 10 years. Yeah. And so it's this evolution thing. That's why we're on this planet, to grow and evolve. And hopefully with a connectedness and a partnership, because we desire that is on a human spiritual level. But it just makes me think, like, inside of relationship and inside of really having that ride or die thing in 2024, people don't even know where the car is at. Yeah. To get in and say, okay, I'm riding with you. Like, where are we going? Whatever it may be. So I just love hearing from a man. Number one, it's so responsible and so vulnerable and so honest for you to be able to say, I haven't been able to open up this way. This is what it looks like now. I'm not coming all the way healed, but this is where what it can look be. Like. Yeah. I think that it's really it's beautiful. And I think that even inside of my brain, I'm like, oh, okay, there's still sanity. Yeah. On the planet. Yeah. Because folks is wild.
I think what happens is social media has done a lot for the way that we project everyone. Yes. Right? Mm-hmm. We all get, like, I wouldn't say that there's no good women out here.
I would never say that about men. Yeah.
There's an abundant amount of great women out here. Yes. Just like there's an abundant amount of men who's working to be that. Yeah. But we have to navigate through the minutia of, you know what I'm saying?
Of the week.
So Yeah. And so for me, it's I'm 42. Mm-hmm. There's a 55-year-old version of me that is counting on me right now to do the right thing.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? There's a 55, there's a 60, there's a 65-year-old, God bless him with that much life, that is depending on me right now to make proper decisions.
Yes.
And one of the things I learned from E.T. was, he said, Trap, we are always one decision away from losing it all. So we have to become elite decision makers. Right? And so to me, that simply means operating more in the spirit and less of the flesh. Because we operate more in the spirit, then we can't help but make better decisions.
Yes.
But when you operate in the flesh, then you get closer to destroying the thing.
Yes.
And he dug more into the iniquity, and he said that is the sin that we foster, not the sin we born with. And so for me, I'm in that phase of my life where I'm nowhere near perfect. I'm perfectly flawed, but I'm unhinging myself from the things that I have fostered, right? The things that I have cultivated within me that I have made acceptable, right? And so I'm in the phase right now, like, okay, let's relearn a lot of those things because those are the things that make you one decision away.
Yes.
Even though we're one decision away, those things that we foster help get us closer to making that decision.
Yes.
Right? And I want to get myself as far away from making that decision as possible.
Yes.
And so I want to cultivate something different in me now.
Yeah.
And it's not always the easiest thing.
No, I'm reading this book right now.
What is it?
The 5 Levels of Attachment. And it's Don Miguel Ruiz. I love Don Miguel Ruiz. And
4 Agreements, right?
Yep. And The Mastery of Love.
Mastery.
A lot of really great books. But the 5th level, I was talking about this earlier, is internalization. And the thing about what we as humans do is sometimes we get so caught up inside of the habits of how we are, the patterns that we're in, that we internalize that that's who we are.
Yeah.
And then that becomes our identity.
Yeah.
So if you will only ever hear, oh, you're going to be dead or in jail by the time you're 25, and you internalize that, oh, it's true, and you'll act like it.
And that was me.
Touche. You know, but if you hear you're going to make a difference on the planet, you are fearfully and wonderfully, like beautifully and wonderfully made. You like literally, if you start hearing the things and have life spoken into you, that's why one of my favorite books says there's life and death lie in the power of the tongue, right? So are we able to stop internalizing and becoming what it is that we don't want? Because have you ever noticed when you ask people like, what do you want in your life? They can tell you what they don't want, but they don't speak on what they do want.
It's because we haven't been programmed to appreciate the abundance of life.
So true.
So I'm always speak from personal experience. I never was taught to value my life.
What does that mean? Like, because I'm the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah. When they told me, you know what a bando was, I'm just sitting here like, wow.
I don't have a clue.
I said, she's so cute.
I don't. I'm from Canada though. I'm Canadian.
I'm like, she's so cute.
No, you don't live in abandoned buildings in Canada. You will freeze to death.
Yeah.
You know, we don't even really have homeless people. You will die. Like, you will not make it through the winter. Don't come there.
That is crazy.
So it's just different.
So so my environment, I just had a conversation the other day about this. I'm at a phase right now where the men that I'm around, I consider them friends, but not because they're willing to die for me or go to prison for me. Because I value what they bring to my life in the form of helping me grow and develop.
Yes.
That is new.
Oh.
That is new. There was an era of my life, not far from where I am now, where I would only call you my brother or say you're my friend if I was willing to die for you, or if you were willing to die for me, or if you were willing to jeopardize your freedom for me, or if I was willing to jeopardize my freedom for you.
And you felt this way about multiple people
until I got into a certain age.
But there was a time you felt this way for multiple people.
That was the only way we were connected. If you weren't willing to bust your gun, if you wasn't willing to sling iron, if you wasn't willing to leave your family and go to jail for me, if you wasn't willing to die for me, then why would I have you around me? How can I call you a friend? How can I trust you when every day we wake up, we putting our life on the line? We putting our freedom on the line. How can I even say, I don't want you around me? Because every day you know what we risking. And if you're not willing to risk it all, I do not want you around me. You're untrustworthy.
So there's elements of this I respect in the sense of the loyalty is unwavering and unquestionable. However,
yes,
there was never but what are we loyal to?
So and that's the point I'm telling you. What happens is you grow up and then the environment sets the standard. And it's even now. The environment now sets the standard. But what happens is now we bring God into it. When I was in the street, I only prayed that God got me out of situations. Just being honest. God, let this lick go right.
Oh.
God, when I kick this door in, when we kick the door in, please, God, don't let him be on the other side.
No, stop it. You were that's a little trifling.
It's 100%, but I'm just telling you where my connection with God was in that era of my life.
No judgment. Judgment free zone. I'm just like,
I'm just telling you, like, real talk. Like, I would be in a situation, like, you know, we'll go pull a situation off, and I'll be like, all right, but I'm about to pray right quick. God, man, you know I'm just trying to get this money. And let me get through this, you know, protect all of us. Let us get through this unharmed and get back to our family. Not that I think about it, but like that was my relationship. That was and I'm telling you, and I promise you, like, it's funny to think about now, but that was my life. Like after I would hit a lick or we were going, I would be like, thank you, God.
What's the definition of a lick?
So like
a robbery.
A robbery.
Okay. Understood.
Right? And it would be like, all right, God, thank you, man. All us, everybody got through safe. Thank you, God. We good. Everybody good? All right. Let's break it down, fellas. Right? And that was the relationship. Being honest. Right? And so you feel like, all right, you get through this. You know, another example was getting found not guilty. Thank you, God. You ain't let them folks send me back to that place.
This is after you went the first time for 10 years?
Nah. I came home and caught another charge. So you killing me right now, Pierre.
I'm bewildered.
Is she really like this? She flabbergasted.
I am truly flabbergasted.
Nah. So I went to jail for the 10. I was 16.
Yeah.
I went to prison for attempt murder and robbery. And then,
you know, not to say this is funny because it's not funny and this is very real. But right now, you know, I'm a producer and a director and an actress, and in my storyline, I've been writing my girl, and she's in jail right now for attempted murder.
Yeah,
I might have to ask you some questions.
Okay,
just to make it more authentic.
I mean, that's what you want.
It's in a story, no, it's fake. Okay, back to you. 10 years.
So I did the 10 years, and then that's why I learned about the stock market.
I have another question about prison.
Let's go with it.
I have two questions, actually.
You
One
always
is
have two questions.
Completely ignorant.
It won't.
It will.
It won't.
To somebody at home is going to be angry that I asked this question, but I have to know. I'll ask that in a second. The first question is, inside of prison, how do you get protected? How do you find your tribe? How do you not get beat up? How do you not get taken advantage of? How do you any of those?
You just gotta be a man.
And that's that.
This is what it is. Like, I'll be lying if I told you I never lost a fight in prison.
Yeah.
That would be a bold-faced lie.
Yeah.
But it's in prison, you are graded by how you handle situations. Not necessarily losing a fight. It's how did I conduct myself when I met the did I meet the confrontation head on Did I try to avoid the confrontation? Did I get backed into a corner? You know, like those are the things. Did I start the situation and then get my ass whooped? Excuse me. Did I start the situation, then get beat up? Like those are the things that rank you as
mess with them or don't.
Well, everybody, there's no such thing as he's the baddest person in here. Because everybody in there for something illegal. And then you got to realize in prison, everybody walking around with egos.
What's that mean?
Everybody walking around with what I'm in here for on their chest. You know what I'm saying? And then everybody dealing with something. So for you to walk around there thinking that you the baddest MF in there, that probably get you killed.
Oh.
That'll get you killed. Because you'll wind up doing something you don't got no business doing. And somebody will put a 6, 7, 8, 12-inch blade in your back, and that's a done. I don't watch like 4 people get killed in prison. I was in a cell with I'm not gonna say a friend of mine, but a guy, and they wanted him so bad they set him on fire while we was in a cell together. And I was like, bruh, what? Man, get me out of here, man.
They set him on fire?
Yeah. We was in a cell block, which is we was in.
I know what that is now because of my storyline.
Yeah, we was in we was in what's called the working cell block, which means we out of the population, but we still had to go to work every day.
Okay.
And so our job was it's
like the barbers.
No. Oh. So in the working cell block, we did with like cutting trees down.
Oh.
Yeah. Like gardening, but like in
labor
200 acres of land where we picking cabbage and cauliflower all day. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that.
Hard.
And so, but you go to work and you come right back to your cell. There's nothing else, no outside or nothing. And so when we had our shower time, one of the dudes went to this shower and they took a finger of gasoline. So it's coming, they'll get it in gloves, like plastic gloves, and they'll get a finger, and you probably sell a finger for like $40, $50, $60, depending on what you need it for. And so they took the finger gasoline, they threw it in the cell, but they knew he was at the top rack. So they threw it up high, and then they threw the fire in there. And, you know, we had to like come about that thing. Like I was like, Sarge, get us out of here. And, you know, he hollering, I'm trying to throw water out the toilet on him. You can smell his flesh burning.
My God.
It was just
Did he die?
Nah, he didn't die, but he had like burns from his shoulder to like his hand. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, bro, like, get me out of the cell, man. 'Cause, you know, it's just situations like that you experience. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I understand the numbness.
Yeah, and so you live with that. You like, I bet. And in my mind, you just like
these things don't haunt you.
Of course. That's why I go to therapy. Which is why I tell you that for me, the hardest thing was being emotionally available.
Right.
Because there's scar tissue, mental scar tissue that you have to go through.
Yeah.
And there's so many men that are walking around emotionally calloused, especially men that have been in prison, that did long periods of time in prison, right? Like you've seen so much stuff. I've been cut on my arm. Like I've seen so much, and you have to now operate in like that didn't happen, like you didn't see that. You know what I'm saying? Like the flesh. Smelling the flesh of a human being that's on fire is a stench that you won't forget. You know what I'm saying? And so emotional trauma is something you have to get past. You know what I'm saying? So that was a thing. But I came home from prison and all I knew was the street. In my mind, it wasn't about being an entrepreneur, or it was about how do I get back on the block and do what I got to do. And so my dude wound up getting kicked in, and I got found not guilty. Thankful to God. They found more weed, more guns, more drugs, and we wound up getting found out guilty under what's called fruit of a poisonous tree, which means that they kicked in my door, and because they didn't have a search warrant, everything that they found was null and void.
Ooh,
but I still had to go through the judicial process. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, nope, we did that. Nope, you still got to spend the money. You still got to go to court. You still got to bond out of prison. And you got to hope that the jury say you're not guilty.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so from there, life kind of was like, you hit them with that, thank you, God.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got right back in the street.
So so you got into the stocks, you were taught and all of those things, and you started doing it. Are you still cool with, do you still know of, are they still alive, the boys that you used to run in the streets with?
Hell yeah. We was, they still in New Orleans. That's my guys.
Are they still in the street?
I can't comment on that.
Okay, great. So I love that. So how do you not have, like, do you have any survivor's remorse?
All the time. I think I was telling B that before. I'm like, man, I still suffer with that. That's why I still do stuff for my brand where we go in the streets and teach people for free. That's why I still do certain stuff. We was in Mardi Gras, and B, like I had B with me, and B was like, yo, you a different trap right now, dog. I'm like, bro, I'm home.
Yeah.
I'm home, bro.
Yeah.
Like, this why I feel good at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, I know everything that's going on. So most people move from New Orleans and they feel like, they'll be like, yeah, this place is better than New Orleans. I'm not like that. Like, New Orleans is where my heart is at. But business-wise, I knew being in Atlanta was a great place for me.
Yeah.
I needed that fresh air. I needed that. I needed to be able to recalibrate who I was, and I needed to see the people being successful because we don't get to see that in New Orleans.
Yeah.
But I love going home.
Yeah.
It's my safe place. No matter how dangerous it is, it's where I feel comfortable. But at the same time, I'm always trying to help who I can get to what I got going on.
Yeah.
Because this is life-changing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I still suffer with survivor's remorse for sure because, I ain't gonna lie, ask myself, that's another conversation I have with God. Like, damn, God, like, why you chose me? I've been through all the stuff that everybody else been through. I done did all the, why me?
Do you feel or think that they could resent you at all for getting out of it?
I can't never speak on how everyone feels. But what I do know is when I do go home, it's more love than hate.
I love that.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
And because most people, of course, there's a lot of young dudes who don't even know me. But a lot of people from New Orleans who know me, they understood like where I come from.
Yeah.
They know what I've been through.
Yeah.
Because it's a typical story in New Orleans. And so they like, bro, you made it. You give me hope.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's all we want to be able to do.
Period.
We want to be able to just inspire people to see that you don't have to be anchored to your current situation.
Yeah. Because
there's a version of you 10 years from now that is counting on you to make some better decisions.
Yes. I love that. And I just, in my mind, I'm like, there's such a stark difference. Like when I go home, I'm baby. Like I'm no longer, I'm no longer Sarah Fontenot naming lights. I'm not this international speaker. I'm not an actress. I'm none of those things.
Accolades?
No, I'm literally not a single accolade. And I love that. Yeah. I love when I go home. My mom is also making me breakfast in bed, like with my dad. I love that. I get like, what are we gonna do? We go feed the ducks. You know what I mean? We all sit at the window. We sit at the window and we watch the birds. My dad loves my mom, so he also watches the birds. Wow. And then my mom tells me stories about the ground squirrel that's messing up her garden. And
that is such a fairy tale life.
But it's not. It's real.
Man.
But you know what though? My
feed
family,
the ducks.
We feed the ducks. We go to Wascana Lake and we feed the geese.
Geese. We went another step higher.
Yeah, we feed the geese.
We went from ducks to geese. We just.
But you know what?
We're gonna keep growing.
No, but this is
swan. Maybe
there are swans. There are swans. There's definitely swans. Yes, but the craziest part, like literally, the craziest part is I come from the most simple, humble my parents are still simple and humble. They still live in the same house I grew up in.
That's amazing.
Like last year, my parents' house, my little brother accidentally set it on fire by not knowing how to fry chicken. And now they just got back in the house last September. And they were out of it for almost a year, And so, but they're literally still in the house that I grew up in.
That's phenomenal.
Like every year when we go home, we take family trips. Like I have a best friend. Shout out to you, Celeste. One of my best friends, Celeste. I talk to my mom every day on FaceTime,
That's
and
amazing.
my dad is always there in the background talking smack about whatever we're FaceTiming about.
Yeah.
And I used to live with my friend Celeste, and she was like, yo, you really talk to your mom a lot. And I was like, yeah. And she said, honestly, that inspires me to like really build the relationship that I have. Not that she has a great relationship with her mom. It's just that proximity and that connectedness. And my family, we're so like the loyalty thing is so big. Like I used to fight, believe it or not, back in the day.
You don't say.
You don't believe me?
Heavens no.
You don't believe me? Not heavens no. Get out, Trap. Get out. No. Back in the day, but this is the thing. In my family, we jump people. If you played with one of our siblings,
you gotta fight us all.
Oh,
okay.
We. So there's definitely aspects of my story. I don't want people to think I just live in, lollipops and gumball drops. That's not the case. However,
there's something over there.
There's a lot.
Okay.
I've been through it all. Because I moved to America by myself when I was 20.
How did that happen?
Well, oddly,
we got a little time.
This is your show.
We got a little time.
How it happened was, I always thought the only ways to be successful was actor, lawyer, engineer, or doctor. My mom's an engineer.
Okay.
I never wanted to be an engineer. I could have been a lawyer. I actually have some pretty savage debate skills.
I can see that.
I do. But then I counted the costs, and I wasn't interested in learning about things.
It's giving great debater.
You know, a little bit. I should have been in the movie. You know,
it's one of my favorite movies.
Is it? It's a great movie.
It's one of my favorites.
It's a phenomenal movie. Resilience. You know? So there's that. And then doctor, blood makes me queasy. So all these things you're talking about, I will throw up actively. It's not good. So I knew I couldn't be a doctor. And I was like, acting. I act, sing, and dance.
You have it.
Yeah, I little razzle dazzle, little song.
I see it.
So I auditioned to get into school. That partnered with I was in a relationship. I was engaged. My first fiance.
Wait a minute now.
Yeah, I've been engaged 2.5 times.
Everybody wifing you.
They be trying
to.
They be trying.
What is that like?
What, being engaged?
Well, what is it?
It's just supposed to be about you.
But no. It's amazing because what happens is there's men. So you said twice.
1.5, yeah.
So it's almost 3. So you are in essence the wife model. The status quo.
That. Okay.
Like when men see me or when men deal with me, this is where we're going.
Yes.
Right? How does that look from a dating perspective? Because when I hear that, I'm like, oh, this is a woman who has a standard.
Yes.
Right? And so when a man interacts here, we not settling, we not playing around here.
Yes. How
does that look?
Well, I don't date for fun. I don't date for fun. I'm intentional. And I had one experience, and through that experience, I realized why my vetting process is so important, because I did allow things inside of life, my own emotions, to allow me to swoop me out of what was normal for me, which is a vetting process, which is I powerfully choose my partner. I've had some incredible dating experiences. And I've dated some incredible men, and we just weren't in alignment. And so I chose to walk away. And so for me, honestly, I feel like my mom and dad, for me, are the blueprint of a marriage I would be excited about. You know, like I've seen, and see, I'm glad we got this tissue, because I cry when I talk about my parents.
Come on.
I've seen what ride or die really looks like. You know what I mean? Like, I think back to my mom. There was this one story. Well, it's not a story, it's my truth, but I tell it all the time. When I was young, I had to be 8 or 9 years old, and it was like 2:00 in the morning. And I heard something in the kitchen. Now, I used to share a room because there was a lot of us kids, and my parents love each other a lot. And my mom and dad always said, if you ever hear a noise, don't go look. But I've always been the rebel in the family.
Right.
Always. I'm the black sheep. It's been that way since forever. And so at 2:00 in the morning, I'm creeping. Now, the way that my parents' house is set up, outside of my bedroom, the bathroom is directly across the hallway. But if I look down the hallway to the right, if you keep going straight, it's the living room. And if you go left and then peek again, it's the kitchen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm creeping down the hallway, hoping that I don't hit those points on the floor, that squeak.
Squeak.
Yeah, so I'm dipping and dodging the squeak points. And as soon as you get into the kitchen, the first thing on the right is the fridge. But if you peek around the fridge, you can see the table, like where we would sit and eat. And 2:00 in the morning, and there's my mom literally sobbing over her homework because she was a full-time student, and it just made me think, like, only as an adult I can even think back to the point of, like, my mom has poise. She is so positive. She is so beautiful. She is so, like, she'd be waking up in a few hours to get us ready to go to school and then going to work and making sure my dad is good and all of these different things. And so inside of that, I've learned by watching my parents how to speak to a man, how to show up for your family, how to, even when you're going through the most of it, I will cry by myself. But when I'm up, it's like I'm coming with poise and energy and excitement and positivity. And I was having this conversation not too long ago with some of my girlfriends. Like, I can't relate to weak. I just can't. Like, I've literally, my first ex-fiance, I was almost paralyzed by that man. You know, so I can't relate to victim. I no matter what is happening, there's always a way. Now, I've been through a lot. I haven't been through everything. Feels like I have. In my life I have, but I've been through enough to allow life to make me hard, but choose not to. So I think the blueprint for me is my mom and my dad. I think the blueprint for me is, or at least something like it, like the loyalty aspect of things, even the conversations, the way that our parents raised us. My mom and dad, like, I was having a conversation with Anissa, and she said, you know, how did your mom have the birds and the bees conversation with you? What did that look like? And for me, my mom has never wronged me. She tells me, this is what's going to happen if you choose this. This is what's going to happen if you choose this. I would suggest choosing this, but I can't control you. And she didn't say it in that way, but how she explained things as an adult, I'm looking back, that's how, so now that's how it makes sense to me. So I'm I think I just try to be like my mom, and people see value in that.
And so you still, so what happens is you have a real life blueprint to what a successful partnership looks like. Earlier, we talked about how social media has disrupted the idea of that. And I think what happens is we don't have the successful blueprint of what a successful partnership looks like. We have a piece or a highlight reel of what Instagram tells us a successful partnership looks like. And then you have a lot of people who are basing the success of their relationship based on what they see and not knowing how these people are off the camera. And then for men like myself, that's why it is so essential that I see successful men in marriage. Because now at this point, I have a real life image of what a successful marriage looks like. And all of us are so vulnerable in what's going on. You know, I won't say names, but one of my friends came to me and was like, bro, like, marriage whooping my butt right now. I was like, man, tell me about that. Like, I was excited to know that. I was like, oh, it's not perfect. He was like, perfect? What? What was you talking about? I was like, man, tell me about that. And it just was a phase where they just weren't on the same page. And I asked them a question. And maybe it was because I didn't know, or I was like, is divorce on the? He was like, hell no.
Period.
He was like, divorce isn't on the table. And I didn't ask like saying like, go divorce her. I was asking like, yo, is it like divorce? He was like, hell no. He was like, we just got to work through it. You know, right now, I'm just not sleeping in the bedroom. You know, but we still in the same house. And she still cooks dinner, but we not talking like we normally do. But we just got to work through it. And I was like, oh, this is how that goes. So this is okay. He was like, bro, I'm not about to give up 5-10 years of what we've been doing just because we just having a rough patch. we just got to navigate through it.
Yes.
And now it's like, oh, that's good.
Yes.
And so because I'm the single friend, I get to ask the crazy questions.
Yes.
You know, and they are so transparent with me because, again, E.T. and CJ and Tobe once told me, you're too important not to have a wife. And I could not see myself. I feel like I'm at a point in my life where I know for sure that I'm not all the way where I want to be at. But I have definitely, unequivocally developed as a leader. I've developed as a father, and I've developed as a man. I don't know what the husband part looks at me like yet because I'm not that.
Period.
You know what I'm saying? But I do know intentionally I want to have like 2-3 more kids because I want to look back one day and I had this vision where I said, like, when I'm gone, I want my kids to be like, we live this life because of him. I want my grandkids, I want the kids that I'll probably never meet to be like, damn, like Papa put us in a good position. And I see that. And we cannot talk about wealth and we cannot talk about abundance as a single man.
Right.
That ain't it.
Right.
It has to be from a family component.
Yes.
And so, and that's why I ask, because as I sit here and I talk to you, I'm listening to a woman that has these core values put in place. These core values that she's anchored to. And they weren't just self put in place. It comes from a mother, a father, visual representation. And that's so important for us.
And also knowing that there's seasons. And I have to say, because as an adult, you know, never seeing my parents fight, I had to ask my mom and dad and be like, look,
do y'all get into it?
Did you ever fight? My mom was like, baby, we got into it like cats and dogs.
Yeah.
We just respected each other enough not to do it in front of y'all. And that was really big for me. So now, you know, those people that will publicly disrespect their partner?
What?
I could never. Like, oh, you want to be, what you just said is you want to be single, we're done. Like to be publicly disrespect, I'll never understand. I don't resonate there. And that's such a high value for mine. And it's crazy when you really look at the things that you've been through growing up, getting older, all of these different things, maturing into who we are. It's like all of it is such a strong piece of how we operate. Like literally such a strong piece of how we operate. Openness and honesty. Oh my God. And so here's a question for you, because I personally have my own opinion about how most men, not my pool, but the majority pool.
Not your pool.
No. Not my pool, but the majority pool.
Okay.
Men, and honestly, some of the men in my pool too, have been conditioned mostly by women to lie because they don't want to hurt their girl. They don't want to make them feel any type of way, or they don't want to deal with the repercussions or the consequences that come with telling the truth.
Okay.
Do you feel like, or actually, why do you feel like, if you feel like men have been conditioned to lie to their women?
I don't know.
You're like, I can't relate.
I can't relate. I think everyone that I've ever dealt with can always say the same one thing about me is, yo, dude, brutally honest.
That's me.
Like he's brutal. Like he's honest to the point I want to punch him in his face. But I respect it because he was like real with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and my problem has always been there was no empathy in my honesty.
You get to deliver it with a nicer.
Yeah. I didn't know how to deliver it. It was always like, here, the hard truth, right? And you learn that it's not in what you say, it's always the delivery. And that's one thing I'm learning with women is the delivery. It means so much. The ability to expand your vocabulary so that you can communicate effectively with her instead of just, no, I ain't go there. You asked me, I told you. And it's, no, listen, here's what happened. here's the situation at hand, and you can elaborate on it. And then what the biggest thing that I've learned in dealing with women is you want to be heard.
Yes. And acknowledged and seen.
And acknowledged.
Yes.
And I think that was one of my biggest things was once I say what I say, I don't really want to talk about the rest of that. Why we keep going back and forward about, I done told you what it is, you done said what you had to say. Why we got to keep going back and forward about this situation?
You know what that is, though?
What?
That's a divine feminine trait. It really is. It is a very feminine trait. Femininity tests.
Yeah.
That's why maybe if you're young, I don't know if a woman was like, would you love me if I was a whale?
Of course.
Would you love me if I gained 100?
Yeah.
We're testing.
Yeah.
And that's like a small version of a very big thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the, oh, you were talking to that girl for a long period of time and I might be feeling insecure. Secure. The truth of it is saying, instead of being like, Negro, why are you only talking to that girl I don't like? It's literally saying, I'm feeling a little insecure because that woman is really beautiful and I don't want you to leave me. That's a test. Are you going to give me the reassurance that I need?
And that's it.
Yeah.
And when I speak about I think men, we are so logical.
Yeah. Yes.
And I don't like the statement that women are so emotional because we all are emotional.
Yes, we are.
Right? But men, we try to use logic in every situation, most of us. And what I have learned is that there isn't always a place for logic. Sometimes it's just about being in tune and listening. A great part of communication is listening. I had a conversation this morning with I'm putting together this short film. It's a 10-minute film, and the director is a woman. And so we had a conversation. So her and the lawyer weren't seeing things the same way, and so she called me this morning, and she was like, "Trap." I said, "Hold on, let's talk." You don't have to be defensive.
Period.
Me and you can have a conversation.
Yes.
So she was like, well, normally I don't do this. I said, hold on. You're even explaining it to me from a defensive perspective. Don't do it. Tell me what the issue is. Let's have the conversation. And this is the biggest thing I said. You're being heard right now and you're being seen. And immediately she was like, okay.
Yeah.
We had the conversation and I said, that's an easy fix. I don't want full ownership. Let's 50-50 on everything. That way you get what you want. You don't feel like you're being taken advantage of. I get what I want. And I don't feel like I'm being taken advantage of. I say the lawyers are only here to protect you and me. But me and you can also have a conversation and tell them what we want.
Right.
And she was like, okay.
Yes.
Okay, Trap.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so I've learned, and that is so because it comes from one, the therapy is great, but my daughter, she is the core essence of my development. Because I need her to always feel heard.
Yeah.
Feel seen.
Yes.
Feel loved.
Yeah.
Feel appreciated. Know that she has a voice, but also supported. And I want her to know that from her dad.
Yes. Because she'll seek that in her partnership.
Yeah. And
in her life partnership.
That's it. And so that is crazy how that little girl has helped me develop so that I can deal with grown women.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Full circle.
Full circle.
Full circle moment.
Because she is a grown woman in the making.
Does any of you fear marriage in 2024?
I don't fear it. I embrace it because I feel like God ain't gonna never leave me wrong. I pray for it.
So if or when you get married, this is it, one time.
That's the 100%.
No divorce on the table. I
don't think so at all.
Okay.
From my perspective. So I could never say what another person would do. That would be wrong with me. But I'll fight for it.
Do you feel that a man with a lot of options, the cream of the crop options, successful monetarily speaking and spiritually speaking. See, the spiritually thing, I already answered my own question, but I'm going to say it anyway. Can he be faithful in marriage?
Yeah, man. You know what's crazy?
What?
I don't feel like I have all the options that people think that successful men have.
Why do you feel that way? And also, we're coming back to my question, but I want to know why you feel that way.
Because options, while they may be there,
yes,
do they fit the criteria?
I mean, I what I would think, and we're getting to know one another.
Yep.
I would think that the type of women that would want to be selected by you are the cream of the crop women.
Now, here's the thing about that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have a bad thing with positioning myself. So that's crazy. I don't go out like looking.
But you wouldn't have to. Because a woman positions herself.
This is it.
And the man
that is true.
Pursues the woman.
That is it. So I don't be like, I'm not a clubber. I'm not a.
Are you a pursuer?
I am. I love the game, the art of pursuit.
Okay.
I love it. It's what gets me going.
Okay.
I love the pursuit. I think all men do, but I will say this.
Okay.
Once you do become, one of my biggest, I don't want to say regrets, because that's a strong word, but I wish that I would have made something work with someone when I was broke.
Because now you feel that women want you as a part of
your money. I have to navigate through so much.
But also, so I have to say this.
Talk to me.
Because we have to be realistic.
Talk to me.
The same way that a man wants a woman who visually looks good.
Of course.
Because it's innate to them. Yeah. Because what it is, it's going back to them bearing healthy heirs. That's really what that's about.
For sure.
First, like this scientifically proven, literally scientifically proven, is the same way that a woman is seeking a man with security.
And I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
I think that women should 100% seek financial stability in men.
I agree.
I have no problem with a woman saying, I want you to be financially in this place, to be even further. And this ain't even me. I don't think men should even pursue women if they not right.
I agree.
Because I was like that.
They're not going to get the woman that they want. Yeah. And then when they do arrive to the point that they want to be at, now they want a new woman.
Yeah.
And that's not fair to the woman that you built with.
Because I remember when I was fighting my charges, again, this goes back to men wanting to be in solitude to get themselves together. I remember fighting my charges, and I remember saying, like, I was dating this female, and I was like, yo, we need to stop. She was like, what? I was like, man, I'm broke. These people done took all my money fighting these charges. I'm good. She was like, man, you tripping? I was like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm good. Like, I can't do this. Now, that probably wasn't the right decision to make. Again, I was young. But for me, I had no business dating a woman. And my money wasn't right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
I was good on it. And so I truly feel that I don't have a problem with a woman saying that, you know, yo, like, I want a man to be financially secure.
Yes.
But at the same token, you also now, she has to also be secure in who she is.
Agreed.
Because a lot comes with that, because now it can be a situation where, oh, this person liking you, because I had to go through that before one time. Like, yo, this person liking you. I'm like, bro, I can't, like, I got 1 million and something followers. I can't stop people from liking the pictures. What are you talking about?
Right.
Right. Like, so that one thing that is hard for men to deal with realistically is like a woman's insecurity. It's hard for us to deal with.
Yeah. I don't think a woman should date until she's...
it's hard for us. It's a difference from me, like, assuring you that we good.
Yeah.
And then I have to keep fighting to show you that I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Or I can't, like, I'm cool with that. Like, I'm the person, if we dating, like, I'm not even locked. Like, you can have the passcode to the phone. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like, you won't go through the thing, I don't care.
Right.
I'm not trying to put the phone down.
Have you ever checked the phone?
Hell no.
I checked the phone one time.
No.
You know what I did?
What?
I was with him because I knew he cheated, right? And something in my spirit was like, listen, I honor me. Let me tell you one thing about me. I honor me.
Yeah.
I said, sir, I would like to sit down right here
and
look at 3 things in your phone.
Text messages.
Oh, I didn't even go to text messages.
DM.
This man was like, what do you want to see? I said, I would like to look at 3 things in your phone. I'm not a phone checker, but this man just was such a liar all the time. We shouldn't have never been together. Bless his heart. I wish him well. Yeah. I'm so grateful for it. I got a lot of really good lessons from him. And I also learned a lot about myself through that experience.
Okay.
Ooh, I learned so much about myself in that experience. Long story short.
One thing
that
you learned.
I was in a rush. I was in a rush to get married. My dad had cancer at the time.
Emotional.
I never would have dated. I used to say I would never date this person. I literally my girls, any of my female friends, I could call them right now and they'd be like, we helped you talk yourself into dating this person. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because he was exactly what I needed in that moment.
That season.
And that's fine. But there is a piece of me that's like, dang, Sarah, like you were that emotionally.
It happens.
You know, and it's okay. It's all good. Anyway, I say that to say this man handed me his phone like this, like the fear in his soul of handing me his phone. And sorry if I scratched you.
All right.
And that's the only time. But I because honestly, I feel like I've never felt like I even need to go through a phone.
Yeah.
When I start feeling like I need to check a phone, leave.
It's time to check out.
Yeah, it go. Yeah. It's time to go. But I think with that, I was just fighting so hard because I really wanted my dad to walk me down the aisle. Like that's such a huge part of my DNA that I was fighting for. I was rationalizing bad behavior. Yeah. I was normalizing bad behavior.
That was bigger than even him.
Oh.
That was bigger than him.
Yeah. It actually had nothing to do with him.
Yeah.
It had to do with me inserting a person into a vision that I had because I knew that I could make my vision happen. And that's honest. It's not good. It's not bad. It just is what it is.
We are people and that happens.
And it happened.
Yeah.
That was my experience.
I've never been a phone checker. I'm not even a jealous type.
I'm not either.
I'd be like, in my mind, I feel like everything that we go through is designed to prepare us for something greater.
Yes.
Right? Internally, man, I desire to be someone's husband. I want to get up in the morning and I want to slap you on your ass before I go to the studio.
Okay. That's it.
That's it. I'll be back.
You want to know my vision? I do this thing called morning vision in the morning and I sleep, or in my vision I see, like I've never seen my man's face. Even when I was in relationships, I will not insert the man that I'm with. I will not, because God might have a different plan, and I'm not trying to mess up God's plan. But when I'm sleeping, I imagine opening my eyes and looking at my husband sleep and then just being like, I prayed for you.
Yeah.
Like I prayed for husband.
That's so good.
I prayed.
So
I say that to say that literally, like, there's just so many pieces that I've seen. Like I've seen the little baby feet on the floors.
Oh, that's good.
And I've seen like when the doors are open and the blinds from the wind are blowing in.
Good.
Maybe there's a screen. I don't know if the blinds are going to be blowing in because there's mosquitoes. You know?
Like it.
I've seen me wearing the shirt on the countertop. I'm so clear on a lot of the things. But anyway, I say that to say it is very important to know where you're going.
No, I like that. My thing is I want to sing 90s R&B with somebody. That's my thing. I want to sing 90s R&B.
Which song? What's your go-to?
So my go-to would probably be something. I can go forever. So I can go Mary J. Blige. A favorite of mine. My Life was probably one of my favorite albums of all time.
It's a good album.
I can go SWV.
Okay, yeah.
I can go, my favorites is not a 90s. We got to go back a little further. We talk Anita Baker, Sade.
Okay. I got you. I'm with you.
I'm that.
I'm tracking.
Yeah, I'm there. That's kind of something. One of the things I did envision was me saying, like, one day I just want to be in the crib on a Saturday. Like, she got my t-shirt on and we on some Anita Baker, and I'm like,
yes.
you know.
We know that you know that we know.
but that's what comes with I think we all should have a vision for our life.
Yeah.
And nothing stops us from the vision but the work that we do now.
Yes.
And so that's what the work is for now. The work is for, like, financially, I'm in a good place, but it's like, okay, are we emotionally bankrupt? Right? And for that, I'm making deposits.
Yep. Daily
in being emotionally, like, abundant.
Yes.
Right? Are we spiritually bankrupt? Nope. We making deposits every day into that. And so how do I consistently make deposits in those accounts so that one day when I connect with somebody, she can make the withdrawals?
Yeah. And vice versa.
And that's what I want. I want the one thing I learned from the last person I was dating was she told me that I just want to be safe. And that meant a lot to me to know she essentially, when I told her that, yo, I just got to go to therapy and get this right, she harbored no ill will with me because she said, I did feel safe. That was this. I appreciate you for saying this is where you're going because there were some kinks, but I felt safe. And for me, that was such a big compliment because my life is surrounded behind working with my daughter, God, and then just, like, getting better, developing. I think we don't do the work on ourselves to be the person that we say we want to be.
Do you believe that you can be friends with your exes?
So let me say, you're about to blow your brain right here.
Oh, I'm ready.
I've only been in one relationship.
No.
I've never been in love before. %100%.
I'm so speechless.
So two relationships. I was in a relationship and I came home in 2007. So maybe 2008 to 2010, I was in a relationship.
Okay.
And then
if my face is doing a thing, I'm just
okay.
processing.
I get it. Yeah. I get it. And then I wasn't in another relationship until 2014 to 2015 with my daughter's mom. So since my time from prison, 2007, I've only been in 2 real relationships. And they weren't long. They were like, one was like 18 months. And me and my daughter, mama, probably got a year. In those relationships, I was faithful, but that's it. So I've never been, like, in love, if I'm being realistic. Like, I've never been, like, I don't know what that feels like.
I think I've thought that I was in love in every relationship I was in until I got out of it.
You were in love. Your definition of love probably evolved.
It did. It definitely did.
But I've never been in a situation where I'm like...
So, sorry to cut you off.
Ahead.
Do you think you could be in a 20-year, 30-year, 40-year relationship and be faithful?
Of course, because... All right, so here's the dope part about that. At this phase of my life...
Yeah.
I've dealt with so many amazing women that I've learned so much from. They're all responsible for who I have become in one way or another.
May I ask a personal question?
Of course. Yes.
Were you sleeping with these women?
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
Yeah. You know, I've been home since 2007. So my choice of women has evolved.
Yeah.
From what I wanted when I first came home to me having a daughter to, you know what I'm saying? So they've all attributed to the man who I am today. Because even when I go to therapy, I reflect on, like, certain situations and certain conversations that I had, and okay, this makes sense now.
Yeah.
I'm good at reflecting on past situations, right? Because I believe that your life leaves clues for you. And your past situations give you opportunity to develop more and put the clues together. And so now I say this with no bad. I've had sex with women and there's nothing new that can be done to me.
Touche.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So at this point in my life, I'm not with a woman on how good she makes love to me. like I'm surpassed that. I'm now in the phase of my life where I'm with a woman. How does she make me feel safe as a man and what I've been through? Not be my mother. How do you be my lover? How do you be my wife? How do you be intimate? How do you allow me to be vulnerable without judging me on the backside? Right? So for me, it's, yes, you know, the physical attraction is important, but do you meet me to talk to God? Do you meet me? I don't need my strengths to be your strengths.
Period.
Right? But I need your strengths to have a place in my life.
Yeah, to strengthen you.
To strengthen me. And so, of course, I can see myself in that situation. One, because I've worked so hard solo that I can only imagine what that woman looks like coming in my life, making this thing like whole. Okay. If I'm not using the wrong term there, right? I feel like there's peace within me already. There's a sense of wholeness within me already as who I am as a man. But I also know that companionships completes the cycle. Yeah. And so for me, it's when you come here, you don't have to worry about the women. You can have the damn phone. You can go through everything. Anything you need to be assured, it's okay. But it's always for the long haul for me.
So do you feel like when you do choose your person, do you feel like it's appropriate for you to stay connected to women that you've been intimate with in the past?
Not at all.
Oh, so they'll be cut off.
I'm not wrong with that.
Oh.
Yeah, like,
it's a good man.
Yeah, we hold on to things because we hold on to things from our past because it's a sense of normalcy or comfort. And we fear the new thing. But in order for me to truly indulge in this new experience, I have to let that go. Like I can't be good morning. I can't be how your day's going. I'm gone. I'm gone. I can't let that linger. Yeah. Because none of that helps her feel secure. Yeah.
At all.
You feel me? And so for me, I'm good on that. Yeah. Like I'm okay with that. Yeah. I need her, like, I want her to walk around knowing like, that's me. I'm good right here.
Yeah. There's something really powerful about exclusive.
Yeah.
There's something really powerful about knowing that your partner has your back publicly and privately. You know, I think that, and Lord forbid people ever find out, but you know, I stay out of the mix of everything. I mean, I live in a bubble. Yeah, I'm out. I'm in my lane and out the way, to be honest. But every so often I'll hear things about people that send photos of or not even send photos, or just in DMs, and it's like, you are a whole husband out here, and you in the DMs of somebody else. And how embarrassing if that ever comes out to your wife, you know?
Yeah. So I can say that, like, that's what I love about the men that I'm around. They're so into their wives.
I love that.
Like, they flaunt them.
I love that.
Right? And so I take pride, and I will say this, like, I take pride in knowing that if we together, I'm off limits to everybody. Yeah. I don't have to try to have a backup plan. I'm all in. Yeah. And what I have learned and what I have seen is that when a woman knows that you are all in on her, she just walk different. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so that's just like where I want to be at. Like,
I am a woman.
Yeah, like I've learned, like, I'm a good student of the game.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I watch the men around me, and I watch how their wives move, and I'm like, yeah.
I have one more question, and then we have to shift gears because I'm like, this is such a good conversation. Jeez. Oh, Lord God, bring it back. Bring it back. What was the question? Don't let me forget. So you've been single since 2015.
Yes.
Why?
I've dated.
I'm sure.
I've dated. I do think that I went through different phases in my life. Again, I didn't know how to build a company and build with someone at the same time.
Very fair.
I didn't know how to navigate that. And so different things were happening in my life. So one, I became a father. I had moved to Atlanta, and I didn't know how to navigate being a father in another state. So that in itself was a, God, how do I do this? Right? Yeah. And so that took me a few years to really navigate. And then I started the business. And so then it was like, okay, how do I be a father and build this business? I don't know how to do that. Right? And so that happened. And then success happened so rapidly, so fast. I was caught off guard. Right? And so it was, okay, let me navigate this space now. And then it becomes, whoa, you're a millionaire. Whoa, this is a new space for me. Right? And so everything was so happening. I just like I submerged myself into that. And I was dating, but I never was truly like all in on it. It was like, all right, we dating, but my business come first.
Yeah, you like, I'm building. But I mean, that's fair. So though. That was even in marriage, though, it'll be that way. Yeah. Your purpose comes first.
Yeah. And I just think that's what it was. Yeah. I didn't know how to navigate the space. Yeah. Until, again, like these last few years, I've been getting better at, okay, we're going to build the business regardless. Like this is who I am now. I'm going to be a father regardless. This is who I am now. Yeah. Okay, now let's build. Yeah. You know, so, and then I'm at a phase too now where I want nothing against my daughter. Mom is my dog, man. Like we rocked out, we locked in. But she is single as well, to my knowledge. I want my daughter to see a loving environment. I want her to see, like, I see my daddy love on me, but I just watched my daddy love on a woman. Damn, that was dope. And hopefully one day her mom gets in a relationship and she gets to see it from another perspective as well. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I truly think that is pivotal for her development. Yeah. To see that.
I think so.
You know what I'm saying? Because all she knows is my dad is single. My daddy don't be with nobody.
Do you feel like women ever try to like, have you experienced the women that they talk about on social media, which are the entitled, buy me something, take me somewhere. Oh, you're a millionaire. You should be able to do this. Don't you know you should give me this bag? Have you experienced that in the dating pool?
Not really, because I act broke.
What's that mean?
Like, so
if they find you through social media, they know you're not broke.
But I don't flaunt it.
You don't flaunt anything because you're just showing the results that you're getting through the methods that you teach. So what you're doing is actually building your business, but through building your business, you're showing people that you make money. Like
all my money in the stock market.
We know you got, that you got the bag, as people be saying, right? And so if they find you through social media, which really is like kind of like a dating app these days. Yeah. Have you experienced the women that come with the entitlement of like you?
I haven't.
No? I'm not surprised.
I haven't. I would be lying if I said that and try to conjure up something. I haven't. I have had such an amazing experience being a successful Black man.
Okay, I have one more. I have a follow-up.
Okay. What I will say is, I'm such an experienced guy. Yeah. When I'm dating, and I'm going to just use who I was dating last, we did a lot together. She told me, you have changed how I see men. She was like, you're a great father. And you and your daughter's mom don't do the behind the back, like y'all co-parent well.
Praise be.
And she was like, I was insecure about that. She was like, I'll be honest with you. And I assured her, like, no, I'm chilling. Like, I moved them here. I'll chill with my daughter. I'm cool. But I had to realize there was certain things that I do have to change. Like, even though me and my daughter mama was good, if I'm dating somebody and we serious, I can't go sit at my daughter mama house for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like, okay, because that makes her feel, you know what I'm saying? So when she presented, I was like, yo, I'm chilling with my daughter. She was like, all right. And she let it go, but I had to go back in my mind and be like, oh, I was over there for 3 hours. Okay, that can look crazy. You know what I'm saying? So it was those adjustments, but we would just go everywhere. We went out the country like 6 times together. That was something I had never done before. So I'm an experienced person. You know, I come from broke. I come from nothing. So that's one of the reasons why I desire companionship, because there's a lot of balconies with my name on it.
Touche.
Yeah, but no, I haven't had that experience with women. I think again, it's the quality and the caliber of women that you can attract whatever you want to attract, but what you choose speaks a lot about you.
Yes.
And I think for me, as a man, for sure, man, you know, you love to see the women that are pleasing to the eye.
Yeah.
Like, okay, but then let's peel back a layer. And for me, I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions. And if you don't answer them right, I'm like, okay.
It's been fun.
You just good for the eye. And that's cool.
Yeah.
You ain't there yet. Yeah. Because everybody ain't for everybody.
Facts.
And I get that.
Wow. Okay, we have to shift gears. I'm so sad because I have so much to even.
Let's go. I think how your team feel? They good?
Oh, they great.
Okay, cool.
We in it. Okay, so there's a part of the show called It's Giving versus It's Giving. So I'm gonna give you a scenario of something, and then I'm gonna give you a positive, like it's giving one way positive, or it's giving the opposite way negative. And you have to tell me which one and why. Okay. And actually, I don't even have to look at a note for this one.
Oh. This premeditated.
Yep. Okay. It is now. Okay. These are fun though. Okay. They're very fun. Okay. Let's say you're in a relationship. Okay. Brand new. But it is a whirlwind. It's been a romance. This girl is crossing every T, dotting every I. She loves your daughter.
It's interesting.
Yep. And your daughter likes her. Okay. But after some time, she starts to get jealous of the attention that you give to your daughter instead of her. It's giving, you know what, I love you, but there's no competition here. You got to go. Or it's giving, let's really figure this out. What in the world is going on? How could you possibly feel this way?
It's giving, let's figure this out. Okay. I think that my daughter mama prepared me for that. She did such a great job at preparing me for that.
How so?
So she used to tell me all the time, bruh, the way that you love on her, it will make some women jealous. Yeah. Because you go above and beyond. She said it will attract them to you. Yeah. But then once they get with you, it will make them jealous. Yeah. She prepared me for this. And I remember asking her like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do? I remember like, what am I supposed to do about that? Yeah. And she was like, you got to get to the issue of why they're jealous. Yeah. Like, what is it? Like, was it because your father wasn't there? Was it because a guy cheated on you? Like, you have to get into why they're jealous, and then you have to be able to assure them. Yeah. Like 100, because she told me, she was like, and I know you gonna just say, well, you gotta go. I ain't doing that. It's my daughter. But she was like, that ain't gonna work. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say we so dope. Yeah. Like she's so solid. Yeah. So she prepared me for that. Yeah. And so I haven't ran across it yet, but if that happens, and if I feel that way about you, I don't feel like there's no issue that we can't not talk about. Yeah. Except for like embarrassing me or something. Oh, yeah, no. You know what I'm saying? But if it's just like, yo, you know, like I'm jealous of your daughter, I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's see what's going on here. So it's given, let's talk about it.
Okay. I have a good friend, ultra successful guy. He's in Texas and he has twins, right? Well, they're not actually twins. They were just born very close at the same time from two different women. We gonna call them
that ain't twins at all.
Yeah, they really did not share a womb.
Papa was a Rolling Stone.
You know, had a good old time. And his daughter is now, she's of age, right? And he spoils this girl.
That's me.
Rotten. When I tell you, has bought her the car, she has the condo, she shops everywhere designer. Like, this little girl is living her best life.
That sounds like Leah, huh?
She's living her best life. And he's kind of the same way, where he's like, you know, I want to make sure that I do the best for her. So none of these little dusty men can come over here and wow her with basic. Like, that's just not going to be the answer. And so he says how women are so jealous.
I can see that.
But it's like, you haven't even earned the right to be jealous of my daughter. Like, you could be getting this treatment, but you ain't.
I think for men too, man, especially when you're a man that has, like, God did such an amazing job by giving me a little girl.
It softened you.
If you'd have given me a little boy, we would have been thugging. Like, we would have been like, hey, what we doing, partner? Right? So he did such an amazing job of giving me, because again, I always say that my daughter, I need her at this phase in my life more than she needs me. I say that all the time because she keeps me in check.
I love that.
She keeps me from making bad decisions.
I think it's your integrity with what you want to provide for
100%.
that keeps you in check.
100%.
Yeah.
And I always, it's crazy because she dictates decisions that I make without even knowing it. Like, she don't know how much power she has in my life. Because I'm super vulnerable to protecting her. I'm super vulnerable to making sure she has experiences. Like, we about to go to Broadway, you know, see a play on Broadway. This the second one is, you know, me asking the questions to figure out what are the things that she wants to, like, I want her, right now, she's my favorite subject. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, like, I don't want you to be, I wouldn't want the woman that I'm dating and seeking to be with to be jealous of her. I want her to understand that you also get that treatment. Yeah.
I think the barometer shifts a little bit.
Yeah.
I was having this conversation with Anissa. I don't have kids. I don't know if you know that. I don't have kids yet. And I always say, like, I always thought I was going to have 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl, with my girl in the middle. Now I'm 36. So
what that mean?
It means who knows what's in store. Like, it might happen, might not.
Maybe I'll surrogate. It's still giving you can get them children.
I mean, I'll be in the gym. I'll be eating healthy. We'll see. I have no attachment. That's really the answer. Whatever God has in store for me, I'm open to.
You're going to speak into existence.
Yeah.
You're going to bear some fruit.
Okay. All right.
Bear some fruit. It's giving fruit bearer.
got good, you know, I'm a good tree, you know? So it's funny because Anissa was in the most kind way. She everybody needs them in Anissa. She gasses you, right? And she was like, she said, I was having a conversation with her and her daughter, and you know, I become my mother sometimes with children in the sense where I teach the little things that my mom would say, like all the time. My mom, when I was growing up, was like, oh, I was a tomboy till I was 17, and she used to tell me all the time, that's so unbecoming of a lady, blah 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 blah. Well, Anissa has a 10-year-old daughter, and we were having a conversation, and Anissa said, if you have a son, let your husband raise that son, because if you do, he will be so soft. He will be so feminine.
It's giving, I'm going to get my mama. I'm going to tell my mama.
No.
It's giving, give me my ball back. It's giving, I'm going inside with my ball. Oh.
No, sometimes yes, true. And my kids won't play in white because it's not gonna happen. I did it with my nephew one time.
Give me my ball. I'm going inside. Dang.
But if I have a daughter, we good, you know?
I can see that.
If we have because I want to do all of the things. Like, I just think of all the things I used to do growing up, you know? Like, my dad was really like the protector, but my dad is a very large man. And he's not you knew, like I knew I could speak how I wanted. I could speak my mind. I could mean what I say and say what I mean. And my dad had my back.
Yeah.
My mom was like the experience creator,
Ah.
you know? So I don't know. Although I can be hard though, Anissa.
You can.
Thank you.
But not hard, like.
Not raise a boy hard. That's a different hard.
Yeah. I don't know. My sister has 2 sons and she is hard.
And also has a husband.
Ah.
And a dog, yeah.
What the dog got to do with it?
The dog's a boy too.
What does it have to do?
They're all boys. She's in a house full of boys.
That's not the same.
What you mean?
I can promise you her life will be very different, and I love Lauren. You can tell her I love her very much.
She said, and a dog.
Was a mom of 3 boys, they would be so different.
Yeah.
They would not.
Because the boys have their dad.
That's what I'm
exactly.
saying. That's what I'm
that male, that testosterone is such a equalizer.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Like my daughter, my silence speaks volumes.
Yeah.
It's like, Lee, what we doing? You know what I'm saying? And that's a conversation in its own. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But with her mama, she'd be like, come get her. I'm about to sneak her. You know what I'm saying? She would call me and be like, hey, come get her. I'm about to put her on the front porch.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm about to put her on the front porch. Because she'll try her. She'll try her mom. She'll be like, and the thing that my daughter has now that I have to talk to her about is like, I am the secret weapon. My daddy.
Yeah.
My mom like doesn't, in a good way, she doesn't appreciate the my daddy response. It's the, I'm not scared of you or your paw.
Period. Period. That's
the thing.
But you know, though, I feel like there's a balance because, like, even like growing up, so you know, when you buy things and you try to bring them back, and they're like, "Oh, you need the receipt in order to return. You can't return this." I used to always be like, "All right, I'm gonna go get my mom.
Yeah,
play with me if you want to." My mom turned, and maybe that's why I'm a pusher. I admit that. I own that about myself. I test boundaries.
Interesting.
Oh, for sure. It's a feminine thing. It's safety. Ultimately, I want to know, am I safe here?
So we need to, before you go into this store, I need to understand that. What is it about pushing? Are you like that with men?
It's different.
Explain.
Oh, this is going to sound crazy when I say it out loud, but now that I've analyzed myself, I can articulate it. So now it sounds like it's like manipulative.
It can be. Women, so listen, it's okay.
Oh, I agree.
Women are manipulative.
We have to be. But
especially the men.
But I hate that now I can articulate it because before I didn't know. I was just this way because I learned how to be from my mom. But now it's like, oh, yeah, I know exactly what I'm doing.
It's so devious.
Yeah, and you would think it's devious, but it's for the good of the colony.
That's how you justify it.
Yeah.
So the world is, for every president that ran the world, they had this series I used to love to watch. It was called, I think it was like The Women Behind the President.
And
it was so good. It only had 1 season.
Oh.
And I was so mad because they showed how the women behind the presidents were so powerful.
Very much so.
Right? Behind certain presidents. And I truly believe that Michelle Obama dictated our country when Barack was in office. I truly believe that every successful man, when he lays in the bed at night and he talks to his wife about what's going on, she implants something and then he steps out and thinks that he did it, but she did it the whole while. You know what I'm saying? But the dope part that I've learned that women do is women are so amazing at, like men, we are so impressionable.
Yeah.
When it not by other men, but by women. Right? Like, and a man can talk all that what he want, but like when you got your woman, like, and she talking to you, because you innately go to her with what's going on. Babe, what's wrong? How your day going? Talk to me about it. And it's something simple as, well, what if you tried to do this? And da-da-da. And you're like, I never thought about that. And you go the next day, you're like, hey, we gonna do it like this. And now you're in front of your team, like, yeah.
That was me right
But
there.
that was,
but really it
was her.
Yeah.
Like women know how, they know, y'all know how to
plant the seed. That's what I learned from my mother.
Yeah.
So pushy in the sense where I'm always thinking of what is the overall, like what is for the good of the colony, not even what is good for Sarah.
Yeah.
And I plant seeds. I'm very intentional about the seeds that I plant. And I don't need the recognition. And I don't need the like, I personally feel like, you know how you hear those women that say things like, you know, if there's a hole down the road, you need to let them hit the hole. Well, if we both riding in the car, you could plant the seed. I don't need to say, baby, swerve you or take the wheel. That is masculine. But I will very femininely sit and plant a seed.
So
And I will have the whole. It's like slow feeding. It's like a baby, and you might not know. You may know. And it doesn't. It's not the point. The point is, I've learned how to effectively communicate with masculine men because that's what my dating pool is. Right? I'm not. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to deal with no.
Okay.
You know, I just is what it is.
I like that.
So, am I pushy with a man? It's different. I'm intentional with a man. And I think it's funny. I saw somebody on Instagram. She was saying how women need to stop trying to be strategic inside of inside of their relationships. And I was like, first of all, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. Men have strength and they can be brute and you know, they can force things. Women, we have flow.
Yes.
So you have to be intentional with the flow.
Yes.
You know, it could carry things any which way. We are water, right? So I can be a pusher, but as far as my like boundaries, I test boundaries all the time, platonically and romantically. I want to know, am I safe here?
When you're testing the boundaries in platonic, or what is the gauge in which we're testing safety?
The response.
Okay.
So for me, as an example, let's say we're in a relationship. I always use this example. And we talked about how, for whatever reason, we don't have a cleaner, right? And somebody's got to take out the trash. And we decide, hey, you know what? Trap, you're going to take out the trash. And that's going to be the thing that you do once a week, right? We've decided this. And a week and a half goes by. The trash is kind of, you know, when the lid is up and so you can kind of smell the stuff that's coming into the house. Instead of saying, the number one, I'm testing, do you have integrity? Because you told me you were going to do something. Now I'm not going to get mad at the first time that you just didn't have integrity. This is something new. It takes time to grow into that new thing. And I understand that. However, I want you to honor what you said that you're going to do. So instead of going to you and saying, man, I am so sick and tired of you not taking out the trash when you said you were going to take out the trash. You don't ever do anything that you say you're going to do. You always make promises and don't, you know, how women can be emotional. I don't do that.
You just go take the trash out.
No, I don't do that either because that's taking away the lesson.
I was about to say.
And the leadership. No, I go to my man and I say, baby, we talked about the roles that we were going to do. You said that you're okay taking out the trash. I can smell it. I don't like that. Do we need to switch roles or can we get back into having the cleaner? What would you like to do? I don't want to talk about this trash anymore. I don't want to talk about it. And I'm also not going to let you off the hook because you teach people how to treat you. That's such a small example of how, but for me, it's important for me to feel like I can come to you about anything, especially when we made a decision about it. And two, it's important for me not to beat you down when you didn't do something that you said you were going to do because none of us are perfect. So it's planting a seed. Now my man, two things just happened in that moment psychologically. Number one, there's a more heightened lesson of, I have to do what I said I'm going to do. Number one. Number two, let me take out this trash. It ain't even that serious.
It ain't that serious. Well, first of all, men should be, even though it's an example, men should just take out the trash anyway.
I mean, this is true.
Taking out the trash, making sure she got gas in the car.
Please, for the love of God.
Washing the car.
I just went to put gas in my, it's ghetto. It's giving ghetto. It's giving struggle bus.
In the car.
Oh my God.
I think those are things that should be like understood. But on another note, like, you know, food and house clean. That's a joint effort. Roles? So I believe that there are certain things that. So, example, I wash and fold clothes. Folding clothes is therapeutic for me.
Really?
I would sit in
It's
front
my
of
least favorite part.
I would sit in front of my movie theater. I would put a movie on.
And then you put them up right after.
I would watch 2 movies and I would fold clothes.
And then you put them up.
100%.
That's the worst part.
I have like 3 bins. I'll wait till I fill all 3 bins up with the clothes.
Yeah.
And then we go put them up. But I'm not the most organized person.
Oh.
So I had to just bring in somebody to organize my closet and my daughter's closet. Because I got a habit of, I'll put the clothes up, but once I take them off, I'll just be like, bruh, bring them to the cleaners. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'll bring them to the cleaners, get them clean. I'll lay them on the bed. You know what I'm saying? So I'll wash the clothes. I'll put them up. But after that, it's the organization is my thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that there's, I'll help you with that. Like, I like to cook. So I don't have a problem with you saying, yo, you want to cook? You feel like cooking? Like, man, I'll cook today. Don't trip. I know you had it. But I just think there's certain things that women innately do, and it gives them their power.
I agree.
Right? But I think all roles, I think it shouldn't be gender specific.
I agree. I'm like, I eat out every day because I'm a woman and I live by myself, and it's easier to just go grab a salad and a smoothie than it is to chop up lettuce, and it's just easier, right? But my relationship before my last, and I say this all the time, that is the most safe in my feminine I have ever felt in my life.
What made that safe?
His level of certainty, his level of integrity. It was beautiful to me. And I was just like, oh, okay, you are who you say that you are. And I loved that aspect of him. We didn't work out, which is perfect. But at the same time, it was like, I've seen glimpses of who I get to be.
From that too.
Oh my God, so much. I've taken something from every relationship I've been in. But it's crazy because I feel like a man, the same way that a man will be inspired by a woman is inspired by a man. That man had me without even saying it, because true femininity, and we talk about this all the time on the podcast, is always seeking the need and the desire before it's mentioned. So I study my person, right? I'm learning. I know your wants. I know what you don't like. I know the desire. I know. And then what I don't know, I'm asking, right? So I'm very intentional about learning my person. And he had mentioned one time, my mom used to bake bread, and that's just so nostalgic for me. I started baking bread every weekend. His favorite thing was tuna casserole. I didn't even know Black people ate tuna casserole.
Come on,
completely honest, I had no idea. This is a Black man, okay? I was confused. Yeah. However, I had to learn how to cook. I called my mama, because my mom could cook anything. I was like, Mama, casserole? What's he talking about? And then my mom was giving me little pointers, like instead of breadcrumbs on the top, crinkle up some Ritz crackers.
Come on now, Mama.
I was like, okay.
Come on, Mama.
So she put me on game. So now it's like, and it's funny because my second fiance, who bless his heart, our journey, the thing with him was he expected me to cook. When you expect and you try to put me in something that I didn't even sign up for, I don't want to do it.
The expectation.
Yeah, it wasn't great. So it's crazy how one man, it's like, I don't even want to do this for you. And the other man is like, what more can I do for you? And I think that it just goes to show when a man and woman are loved right, there's only value.
Yeah.
Not to say that there's not rough patches and seasons, because there's definitely seasons in relationships, but I've just experienced through my own experience all of that.
I think that the combination of, we have to learn how to be loved properly.
Yes.
And I think that was one thing. I remember I was dating this woman, man. And I remember telling one of my homies' wife, I said, I felt like I was her lover and her son at the same time.
Oh.
Like the way she nurtured me.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the way she nurtured me, I was like, whoa, this is different.
Mm-hmm.
And the way she loved on me,
mm-hmm.
I was like, wow. Like she said it, and that's why, like, for me, I've had such like amazing experiences, and I could never blame the women that I've dealt with. It was always me, like, in a phase where I needed to just develop more.
Mm-hmm.
I took so much from that.
Mm-hmm.
I took so much from that. And I will say that being successful did change the quality of women.
Mm-hmm.
And those women who I dated as a successful man came with such amazing standards. Right. I will say that like the women that I had attracted, again, you can attract whatever, but the women that I chose to say, no, I won't rock with you right quick. You know, let's see what we can do here. And then I felt like that was I was like, well, this is good. And then, but the part of me that wasn't emotionally ready left that situation. You know, like I'm not afraid to say that. Like I'm not like I don't think I won't say that I haven't hurting people, because once a woman is in, she's in.
Period.
Like she rocking with you.
Yeah.
But I've always had the tough conversation. And a couple, maybe 5-6 months back, I think I text the last 3 or 4 women I've dated and was like, yo, I just want to tell you thank you for like what you represented in my life in that season. I probably didn't handle it the best, but just know like it wasn't intentional. But thank you for not even having that. And like their response to me was like, so it wasn't bad. It was like, we get, like all of them was similar. It was like, I get it. I just want to see you grow. I want to see you do better. You know what I'm saying? I learned something from you too. And that let me know that the maturity was there. You know what I'm saying? So I've learned so much from the women that I've dated, which allows me to know that I'm prepared for it, because the biggest issue that I had to really keep dealing with was me emotionally just shutting down. That was my issue. It wasn't about like me like talking and communicating up certain things. It was just the emotional part that I had a hard time communicating. It was hard. It was new. I wasn't really good with vulnerability. And I had to grow into that. And I'm not using what I've been through as an excuse. That was my reality. And even the women that I dealt with in the street, they were from the street. So I didn't have to trust them. Right. Like it is what it is. Like I'm sleeping with one eye open.
Oh my goodness.
You know what I'm saying? No, you can't spend 2 nights in a row over here.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? She said, oh.
I didn't know. I can't even imagine.
She's so adorable.
I can't even imagine a man saying to me like, you can't stay here 2 nights in a row.
Like we're not doing 2 nights in a row. Because that's too close. That's too much of a pattern. Oh. You know what I'm saying? That pattern now makes me vulnerable. So if you come today, even if we do link up tomorrow, you going home and I probably don't see you again for a week. You know what I'm saying? Like it was, I understood it. And that's how I just operated. Right? Like I never, and this is realistic. Like when I was in the street, I never like was intimate with a woman like back-to-back days, because like I felt like if I had sex with you back-to-back, then that made you emotionally close to me, and then it made me emotionally close to you, and I didn't want that. I wanted to stay as far apart as I could, but still have like some type of like connection, because you understood the life I was living. Yeah. Right. So it's not an excuse, but I had to unlearn that type of stuff. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I remember like every time I would be with a woman when I was in the street, I would always text one of my homies like, this the address I'm at, dog, in case anything happened. And here's where you find the key at to the crib, bro. I would take a picture and be like, yo, this who it is. This who she is. You know what I'm saying? Like I literally had to unlearn those type of things because I'm not living that life no more. Yeah. And I'm not even much attracted to, you know what I'm saying?
So there was never a part of you that was like, I don't want this kind of love. Like I want to be able to lay in the bed with someone.
You got to remember, I told you in the beginning that I didn't value my life. I didn't know how to put a value on my life. I didn't know how.
You didn't value female companionship?
Nah, because you got to think about it. So this is why therapy was so amazing for me. My mama went to so the first person I ever saw got shot was my mama. I was 100 yards away from her. And then my mother goes to prison. And so my mama is gay. My mom has been gay I've never seen my mom with a man ever in my life. And so the woman that my mother was dealing with, my mama, while she was in prison, she mixed her letters up. So the woman that she was with, she sent her letter to another woman and sent that letter to another woman. And the woman I was living with and she was like, nah, your mom won't be a player. You gotta get out. So that's how I wound up being homeless. Cause the lady like, nah, we not doing that. So for, I didn't have nowhere to go at. Right. So now I've been let down by my mother.
How old were you?
So my mom went to prison. I was probably about 14, 13. Damn. You feel me? And so then my grandmother passed away. So then I didn't have that guardian. So now I'm like, okay, like, damn, like this ain't cool. You feel what I'm saying? And then at 16, a woman who I'm trusting but not trusting, who I kind of felt safe with but still was in the street, she put me in a situation where I almost got killed. I wound up having to shoot a man, so I lose 10 years of my life. You feel me? So those situations were all around women. And so it was like every time I felt vulnerable with women, I got the ass end of the deal. And so it was easy for me in phases of my life to be like, nah, I'm gonna just keep everybody at a distance, because being vulnerable gets you, the mind is always going to protect you. It's nope, remember this, remember this, remember this, remember this. Nah, we're not going to be vulnerable.
Right.
And so when you just start to disassociate yourself from that type of vulnerableness, you start just saying, okay, I just need to, and this is going to sound bad, but I just need to have sex to fill my needs as a man. And I need to do a couple things for them so we could keep having sex, but I'm young, and so I'm okay with that. I don't need emotional connection. I don't need to be vulnerable. I don't need to tell you my problems.
Honest.
I don't need to do none of that. And so there's a lot of men, and that's the part about being in the streets and stuff that like people don't talk about as men. Why it's so hard for men too? Because like every day your life on the line, and every day you've watched women. Like I know women who set dudes up for a living. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been in situations where it's like, yo, and you just, there's so much that goes on in there, you really just become numb. So you're not looking for love. You're not looking for like compatibility. Excuse my language, you just want to get this nut off so you can just go about the next thing you got going on. That's life. That's life. That's what you accept as your life. And you wake up every day knowing that, yo, this could be the day I go to jail. This could be the day I get killed. And you don't know where that comes from. It can be the woman I was sleeping with. It can be my homie who I was cool with. And in most cases, when people get killed, it's from somebody close. It's from somebody who you were really close to. That's why betrayal hurts so much. Betrayal don't come from a stranger. Betrayal comes from someone you was vulnerable to. And when you're in a situation where everybody's starving, man, $10,000, $15,000 to knock you off, man, that sounds like a come up to somebody. You know what I'm saying? So being vulnerable to women wasn't like nothing I was striving to be. And so even when I became successful, even though it changed, you still got to unlearn what you've been programmed to be for the last 20-something years of your life.
Yeah.
It don't happen overnight.
No, it doesn't. The process is process.
And that's why my daughter was so pivotal.
Yeah.
Because I had her in 2016.
Yeah.
Immediately, emotional decisions
had to come in.
Yeah. Getting out of the streets. Because she don't deserve to see me in prison.
Yeah.
She damn sure doesn't deserve to see me in a coffin. All right, cool. Let me change the type of women I'm dealing with, because I can't afford for none of them to take me away from her. So all of that started changing. You know what I'm saying? My processes about women, how I started looking, the type of women I wanted to date. Like, if you in the street, I don't want to date you. I won't go date somebody that work at Chase Bank. So my whole selection, like everything changed with her. Everything changed with her.
That is wild. It's just, it's stark differences. Like they're so different.
Yeah.
This is the longest I've been single since I was 15 years old, and it is by choice. And it's only been a year and a half.
Man, I think you about to say 3 years or something. This woman said a year and a half.
No, I'm never single. I'm never
I do
single.
a year and a half in my sleep.
That's what I'm saying. You like I've been in 2 relationships my whole life. Both of them were short. I'm like, shoo, sheesh. You night to night, back to back. I'm like, oh, I wish a man would say you gotta go home. What are you? Who are you talking to? What is happening here? I wish somebody would say. I don't want to tell you about my day. First of all, sir, what's really going on? Okay, we got to get to the bottom of this because you know what? It's just so. It's so. And now, obviously, I know that that's different from how you grew up, but I'm just really like bewildered.
Yeah, we all come from different worlds. So that's why one of the things that, I was talking about on my show one day was like financial compatibility.
Yeah.
And I said that, you can, but that's is not just with finance. It's so many in so many different other areas of partnership, companionship. You come from such a different lifestyle than me.
Mm-hmm.
So I can literally be looking at you in a house like, yo, she just don't get it. But she's beautiful and she's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't sit down and we don't have the conversation, we literally just basing why we're together off how we look.
Period.
But if we sit down and say, all right, listen, Sarah, like, this is my life.
Mm-hmm.
You need to understand where I come from, what I've been through, how I'm evolving.
Mm-hmm.
And you be like, oh, okay, let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Trap, like, here's where I come from.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I've been through. And so now that helps me understand, oh, this is how she navigating through life.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps you understand how I'm navigating, but it also helps me now learn how to communicate with you, how to talk to you, how to help you understand me more, and vice versa. And so we have people that's just with each other based off of how you look, how much money you got.
Yep.
And what you can do for me.
Yep.
And then that is truly not enough to have a long lasting, from my experience. Again, I ain't been in no relationship like that, but I'm learning that that's not enough. That's inadequate data.
Yeah.
If you don't learn that, okay, Trap saw his mama get shot when he was, that's interesting. I need to talk to him more about that when he's ready.
Yeah.
Okay, Trap has been homeless before. Yep, that's something I got to talk to him about when he's ready. He hasn't been in a relationship. That's something to talk to him about. And it's subtle it ain't sitting down having a 6-hour conversation. It's, hey, babe, let's have a conversation about something tonight. I want to just talk about some of your experiences in life so I can just love you better. That's interesting. Because how many men, and I do think that women often take this for granted. Men have been so unsafe their whole life, they do want to feel safe. We have been in environments where our life is, and it's not taken away from the woman's experience, because women have also been in these same situations. But for men, we just have been in these situations where nobody cared how we felt. Nobody cared how emotionally you felt. Nobody cared about your day. It was, yo, did you make some money today? How much money you made? What your bag look like? Right? And so because of that, we are left out. There's so many men suffering in silence.
Yeah. Especially black men.
Black men, we suffer in silence.
Yeah.
And so it's important for a woman to come to a man and be like, babe, how was your day today?
Yeah.
You know what? I want to just talk about whatever.
Yeah.
When you ready. And guess what? Instead of me doing, babe, you want to have that conversation? Man, come on. Like, put me in a situation, just like you said, that women can be manipulative at times.
Contraband. That's a positive way of saying it.
Okay.
I'm inspiring you.
That's good.
Yeah.
Set the environment that is conducive to me being emotionally transparent.
Yes. You want to know how I learned that? And we're all always learning it.
Yeah.
Right? It's a forever thing. It never ends. But one of the things that I can honestly say that I learned how to receive information and allow for people to feel safe is because my mother.
Yep.
I was telling the team earlier when I've always felt safe to tell my mom anything, and she never wronged me. She never said I was dumb. She never said I was stupid. She never said any of those things. She told me what my choice is, either going to give me this or this. I recommend you do this. And she'd say it in a mom way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But because like I literally told my mom when I moved to America, I was in a theater academy and a conservatory, and everyone was doing cocaine. Everybody and their mama.
Don't
Like
do
that's what you
cocaine in
do.
the bathroom.
Oh, I called my mom. I was like, oh, I think I'm about to try cocaine.
Whoa.
That's how straightforward. At this point,
Whoa.
I'm serious.
Whoa.
When I tell you the level, is that crazy? That's probably weird to you?
That
it's
is
not weird
insane.
to me. We're so honest with one another, and so not with one another. I'm so honest with her, and so when I told her, she cried.
What was sugar?
And then I swear to God, she cried. And then she said, we have addictive personalities in this family. I don't think that you should do that.
That's big.
People die. They have seizures, all of these different things. I don't want your one night of fun to end your life.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, okay. I didn't end up doing it. I got over it. I lost interest. But not because my mom told me no. Yeah. Because I was just like,
this ain't it.
This probably ain't it for me.
Yeah.
I'm with all these people that don't look like me. I probably just need to switch it up a little bit. But I say that to say, if you don't wrong someone inside of their communication with you, I might be bewildered. I might be flabbergasted.
Yeah.
I might be speechless.
Yeah.
But I'm never going to make you feel dumb for telling me. And I think that that's something that also we as Black women get to do for our men, because we have to remember almost every other culture is encouraged to be vulnerable and soft and get it out and go to therapy and express yourself and cry. But when it comes to Black women and Black men, we are encouraged to be tough and resilient and strong and keep going and push through. It's like we don't get to take a day off. We don't just get to be and feel and be vulnerable because now we're weak. Right. And so I do think that there is some beauty to that, because we can get through anything and all things. But I do think that it can be very dehumanizing at times.
Yeah. I know that women have been through, especially Black women have been through so much. I want, in my mind, being with me is where you can just be the woman that you always dreamt of being.
Amen. That's beautiful.
I want you to just be like, I don't know how I end up getting this fairy tale life, but I got it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, in my mind, I think that's so possible. I don't want it to be a competitive relationship. I want it to be a supportive one.
Yes.
Like, you don't got to compete with me. My strengths don't have to be yours.
Right.
They
shouldn't be.
Let's thrive at what we do well individually, but let's turn it into a union. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's this journey for me. And it all starts back to the first question. This era is the spiritual growth journey.
Full circle moment. Okay, I have one more. Wow, we're almost at 2.5 hours. Time flies when you're having fun.
That is. This is normal for us, huh, V?
Jeez.
We do 3-hour shows every week. So.
No, not us. We do 1 hour and 10 tops.
Look what happened.
I mean, it's
Look
good. There's a lot of good.
You got to give the people all of this.
Oh, I will.
All of it.
All of it.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. I'm just going to need more than 4 reels. Kenny,
reel them up.
I don't need more than 4. So final question.
Okay.
And I'm going to bring you back because I feel like there's so much more to touch on.
Of
Like there's so
course.
much to delve into.
Mm-hmm.
Here at It's Giving, we believe in evolution and growth. And one of the ways that I believe that we can do that is through reading books. I'm an avid reader.
Okay.
So I would love to know, and we, the audience, would love to know, what book has changed your life and why?
Battle Cry, Jason Wilson.
I have not read that.
It's a book about men and emotionally being liberated. It has changed my life. Because he talks about how one of the things he talks about is he paints this picture in the book. You think he's talking about being in prison, because he talks about having conjugal visits with his wife. He talks about waking up, going to work, but the whole while he's talking about being emotionally in prison. And how him and his wife went through a phase where the only time they were on the same page was when they were having sex. And outside of that, they were living in 2 different worlds, because he was just emotionally, he didn't know how to do certain things. And so that book truly helped me in so many ways with myself. Because that's the journey I'm on.
Yeah.
Like and I tell people about me all the time, it's not the financial books that help me the most. They just, that's the money component. It's the books by Dr. Miles Monroe.
Yeah.
You know, it's the books by, T.D. Jakes. It's the books by Jason Wilson. It's the book I'm reading currently, Emotional Intelligence.
Oh, that's a great book. Did you take the quiz?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's this other book, How to Do the Work.
Okay.
It's a great book by I forgot her name. She follows me on Instagram. She's a psychologist, I think. Those books help me emotionally be better. And I think for me, like we always we have to pay attention to where the work needs to be done at in our life. Because everybody don't need the same work.
Truly.
Right? I know where I needed to work at.
Me too.
I know exactly where I don't need the money. I don't need to work on. It's the emotion.
Oh man.
It's the emotion. I need to work on the EQ. Is what it's the EQ that I need to work on. So a lot of the times the work that I'm doing and the work that I'm reading is helping me with the EQ part of me.
I love that. Well, you have like literally blessed me. You blessed those listening or watching. Today's episode was filled with so much, filled with self-awareness, filled with transparency and authenticity. It was filled with stories that could lead to inspiration. It was filled with growth and different things that you can do. It was filled with bewilderment. It was filled with honesty. There's a lot of different aspects that we touched on this episode, and I am just grateful for you coming today. You were a blessing. I'm not surprised. I kind of knew it just a little bit. Like I went down the rabbit hole. Okay, I found out. Okay, cool. But thank you so much for coming on the show and
I appreciate you.
Blessing everyone.
Thank y'all for having me. I think it's been, it was something that I was anticipating. I like to do things that take me outside of the financial realm.
Yes.
Because there's so much more to me than that.
Yeah.
And I think that people, especially Black men, need to hear from a person like myself who's been through all of the battles that they've been through. And I'm not afraid to, like, I don't come on sounding like I'm like bashing men. You need to grow up and you need to be doing this. And I'm not that guy. Like, we growing. I'm 42 years old. Of course I could be, leave it up to Instagram and the relationship gurus that I'm supposed to be here. But in real life, this is me developing in real time.
Yes.
This is me unlearning and learning things in real time.
Yes. And
I think we men need to have someone who represents us in that way.
Yes.
And I also think that women, when they hear men like me talk, I would hope that it helps them say, there is a few men out here that are not like. You know what I'm saying? And so I be trying to be the spokesperson for us, like, hey ladies, we don't come healed. we are working.
But on the spectrum, you rank very high. So
that means a lot to me.
I mean, we'll never get to 100, none of us. Nah. So you rank high.
Come on now.
Yeah, I'm just saying the truth. And I always joke and I say, women say they want a knight in shining armor. No, you don't, because that man ain't never been to battle.
He ain't been through battle.
You want the cuts. Dings and it's necessary. Yeah. It's battle tested. Yeah. There's a threshold that he's passed that others may never even get to, and that in itself creates more safety.
It's the going through the pressure, and then the fire. And then the cutting.
Yes.
So that I could be molded.
Yep. Yes.
That's it. I go through it. I've been through it. So I'm in that molding season. It's not saying that I won't be cut again. It's not saying that I won't be under pressure again. It's not saying that I won't face the fire again. That's part of life. But I'm being molded right now.
Yeah.
And I'm so open to it. And I'm so embracing it. My mornings start off with what I call slow mornings. And it's about me praying, reading the Bible, reading the Quran, praying again, then working out. Those things have to transpire before I even think about doing some work. That's molding.
I'm just, I'm tracking with everything you're saying.
Let's go.
Thank you so much again for coming.
I appreciate it.
And guys, if no one has told you today, you are freaking phenomenal. Bomb.com. Nothing can stop you but you got to do something about it. If you made it this far in the episode, look, you are a true giver, okay? You are about this community. And if you want to get joined in the community, hit that link below so you can join the newsletter and see what we have coming up. If you want to submit those questions or videos, you can do that there as well. I love you guys so much. Until next time.
Be trapping.